The warning nobody gave you. Stop everything you're doing right now. Look around. Your cell phone, your TV, your computer, maybe even the virtual assistant in your home. They are listening. You are being monitored right now. But no one told you that. No one warned you that your privacy is gone. This is not a conspiracy theory. I can prove it. But before continuing, I need to warn you. They may not want you to see it through to the end. Because what I'm about to reveal to you, it can change everything you believe about your freedom. We believe that we have control over our lives, that we make our own choices, that we still have privacy. But what if I told you that is every click, every search, every word spoken near your phone being recorded? Your data is collected in real time. Your digital identity has already been sold without your consent. You did not choose to participate in this, but it is already within the system. Do you think you are safe? Try talking about a product near your cell phone and see how many ads start to appear. This is no coincidence. It is a system designed to track what you think, what you want, and even what you don't even know you want yet. Governments and big techs already have access to your browsing history, your messages, even your exact location. Now think, if all of your information has already been collected, what stops it from being used against you? Global monitoring isn't just for selling ads. It can decide whether you will have access to credit, whether you can travel, if you will get a job, whether you will be allowed to buy or sell in the future. Does it seem exaggerated? It is not. This is already happening. China has implemented a system of social credit where citizens are evaluated digitally. Depending on your online behavior, you may be banned from getting on a plane, getting a loan, or even going to certain places. You may be thinking, it would never get here. But what if I told you that are the foundations of this system already being implemented? Companies already evaluate your consumption profile and online behavior to determine if you are trustworthy. Banks already use AI algorithms to decide if you deserve credit. Your digital history can define your future without you even having the chance to defend yourself. What about artificial intelligence? It's not just replacing jobs. She is already making decisions that were previously made by humans. Algorithms are being trained to predict crimes before they even happen. But what if they get it wrong? What if a system decides you're a threat just because of a pattern of behavior? There are already cases of people who were unfairly imprisoned because of flaws in facial recognition systems. If an algorithm can determine whether you should be arrested, denied a bank, or even silenced on the internet, who is really in control? Are we the owners of our own choices, or are we just pieces within a system that manipulates us without us realizing it? And the scariest thing? All of this is already happening as you watch this video. With every second that passes, more data is being collected about you. Every click, every second of attention is feeding this invisible machine that dictates what you can and cannot know. The system has already been activated, and now you can just ignore all this and continue to live as if nothing is happening, as most people do. Or you can wake up to reality and understand what is really at stake. What comes next is even more disturbing. But first, I need to know if you're ready to continue. Do you want to know who is behind this global monitoring? Want to find out what do they already know about you? So keep watching. The truth is about to be revealed. The system has already been activated, and you are now being monitored. Every click, every word said near your cell phone is being recorded without you realizing it. Your data no longer belongs to you. Total control is not a theory, it is a reality happening right now. But what happens when your opinion is considered dangerous? What if tomorrow your access to banks, services, or even your freedom is restricted by an algorithm? If you've made it this far, it means you already know something big is happening. But most are still sleeping, and that's exactly how they want it. We need to spread this message before it's too late. Enjoy this video now to show that you still have a voice. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. The truth that they try to hide is here. Are you ready for the next reveal? So keep watching. What once seemed like science fiction is now happening. For years, we were told that technology was synonymous with freedom, that artificial intelligence would make our lives easier, that connectivity would make us more independent. But the reality is different. Technology is not just all around us, it is already in control. Every move you make is tracked. Every click is recorded. Every word you speak could be being analyzed. The question is no longer we are being monitored, but yes, how far has this come? Do you remember exactly where you were yesterday? Perhaps yes. But your cell phone knows precisely, and not just yesterday, but every day of the last year. Facial recognition is already capable of identifying where you have been today. Cameras spread across cities are linked to databases that recognize faces in seconds. But that's not all. Your private messages may not be so private after all. Have you ever wondered why, after talking about a topic on your cell phone, related ads start to appear? Do applications really only listen when we activate the voice assistant? Could it be that your WhatsApp conversations, which are supposedly encrypted, have never been analyzed? Now think about what you searched for on Google last week. Maybe a trivial question, a product, a political opinion. Now imagine that these searches are being stored, associated with your profile and analyzed to predict your behavior. Because that's exactly what's happening. Companies, governments, and corporations know more about you than yourself. They know what you want to buy before you even realize you want it. They know your fears, your habits, your weaknesses. And they know how to use all of this against you. Does it seem exaggerated? So know that banks already deny credit based on your digital history. If an algorithm determines that your profile is high risk, it may decide that you're not trustworthy enough to get a loan, rent a car, or even get a job. You will not be warned. There will not be a human to review your situation, just an AI determining your life based on your personal data. And if that wasn't scary enough, there's something even more disturbing. Today, artificial intelligence systems can predict your future actions with frightening accuracy, which means that even if you've never committed a crime, an algorithm can mark your profile as suspicious just by analyzing your behavior patterns. The moment you are labeled, you can be prevented from traveling, opening bank accounts, participating in certain spaces without even knowing why. Now, stop for a second and think. What if you needed to disappear from the radar? What if, starting tomorrow, you wanted to disappear from the system, leave this web of global monitoring, and regain your privacy? Could you? Because the truth is that, right now, you are already so integrated into the system that escaping it may be impossible. Your name, your face, your fingerprint, your location, your habits, all of this is stored. You can even try to avoid social networks, delete accounts, use incognito browsers, but this would not erase your digital history. And the worst, this is all happening silently. No fanfare, no warnings, no choices. Most people don't even notice, and those who notice, they are seen as paranoid, exaggerated conspiracy theorists. But now I ask you, do you really think you are in control of your own life? If you've ever felt like your choices were being influenced by something you couldn't explain? If you've ever noticed that you're being pushed into certain narratives, into consuming certain products, into accepting certain ideas without realizing it, then you're already feeling the effect of this. But that's just the surface. What happens when this monitoring is taken to the next level? They already have your data, your identity, and even your behavior mapped. But this is just the beginning. The true purpose of this system has not yet been revealed. And the question is, are you ready to know what comes next? Do you really believe you are in control of your life? That every choice you make is genuine, spontaneous, and free? Think again. None of this is by chance. What you want, what you watch, what you consume, Everything has already been decided for you before you even have the chance to choose. Have you noticed that in recent years, people have started to think in the same way, act in a similar way, follow the same behaviors, repeat the same speeches? This is no coincidence. This is the greatest social experiment in history. Artificial intelligence already understands how you work better than you do. Instagram knows what makes you addicted. I know TikTok what catches your attention. Google knows what you want before you even ask. Every scroll on your screen, every click, every second you spend looking at an image or video is recorded, analyzed, and optimized to keep you within the system. The goal is not just to sell products, it's manipulating your behavior. Do you think you chose the content you consume? Who decided on his own the information he receives? Wrong. Algorithms filter what you see and hide what they don't want you to discover. And the worst part, you don't realize. They do this in a subtle, imperceptible way without you realizing that you are being directed towards a specific view of the world. Do you still think you have free will? Now imagine a power so great that it could control not only what you see, but what you feel, what you believe, how you react to everything around you. Have you ever noticed that certain topics go viral overnight? That suddenly thousands of people start to be outraged by the same thing without even understanding exactly why? This doesn't happen by chance. It's a strategy. Create peaks of emotion, revolt, fear, collective indignation. All of this was designed to keep you engaged, distracted, prisoner of a narrative you don't even realize you're following. The experiment is already underway, and you are part of it. But what is the real goal behind this? Control. The more predictable you are, the easier it will be to control you. If they know what scares you, they know how to manipulate you. If they know what makes you angry, they know how to distract you. If they know what you believe, they know how to influence you to act the way they want. Global monitoring is not just about watching you, it's about programming your behavior. Now imagine a future where your emotions can be artificially induced, where your mood can be changed according to what you consume online, where you wake up happy or depressed for no apparent reason, but in reality because the system wanted it to be that way. This is already happening. There are already studies proving that social networks can manipulate the emotional state of users without them realizing it. But this is just the beginning. If today an algorithm decides what you see, tomorrow it could decide how you should think. If today they can predict your behavior, tomorrow they can determine your actions before you even take them. And then, the big question. Do you still have control, or are you just a cog within the system? But what's the worst? This has been planned for decades, and what comes next could be even more disturbing. Are you ready to find out? Have you ever noticed that nothing you do online is truly private? That every click, every search, and even your conversations could be monitored? You're already inside the system, and you don't even realize it. The only difference between those who are manipulated and those who understand the game is the information. But the question is, will you continue to be controlled, or will you finally learn how to protect yourself? Download my ebook now and discover how to escape digital surveillance before it's too late. But warning, this information may not be available for a long time. Have you ever asked yourself, how far does control over your life go? If what we know about global monitoring, it's already scary, imagine what is still being hidden. It's no longer just about tracking your location or analyzing your online behavior. It's about deciding what you can and can't do, and the government already has that power. Leaked documents show that a global surveillance system is already in progress, and technology companies are at the center of it. Do you think your data is private? They have already been sold. shared and used to power a larger system. Your every move, every choice, every opinion expressed on social media can be used to classify you within an invisible database, where you will be judged not by your actions, but by what an algorithm determines about you. If you think this is far from reality, look at China. The social credit system is already in operation there. Each citizen receives a score based on their behavior, their financial history, their online interaction, and even their personal life. People with low scores have their rights reduced. They are prevented from traveling, from getting better jobs, from enrolling their children in good schools. But here's the big question. This is already reaching other countries. Does it seem impossible? So tell me, why do banks already analyze your social networks before granting credit? Why recruiters use artificial intelligence to reject candidates based on their digital profile? If today this is just a tool to filter information, what prevents it from becoming a mandatory system tomorrow? And there's more. The World Economic Forum has already declared, you will have nothing and you will be happy. But the question is, who will really control everything? If people will no longer own goods, who will? If everything will be rented, borrowed and shared, who will be the real owner? We are heading towards a world where private property will be extinguished for the population, while a few centralize all power. If today your information no longer belongs to you, tomorrow it will be your freedom that will no longer be yours. Your access to the system may be conditioned on your behavior. If your social score is considered low, you may be blocked from essential services, prevented from traveling, accessing your bank accounts, of simply existing within the digital society. This may seem like an exaggeration, but everything indicates that is already running. And the scariest part, you will not be notified when this becomes official. You will only realize it when it is too late. But the truth is that there is still time to understand how this system works and what is to come. And in the next block, I will reveal how this is being silently implemented in your life without you even realizing it. Have you ever stopped to think about what would happen if someone created false evidence against you? If from one day to the next, your identity was used to commit a crime you never committed? This is no longer science fiction. The technology for this already exists, and it is becoming increasingly accessible. Deepfakes. They can replicate your voice, your face, and even your gestures with frightening perfection. A simple video can put words in your mouth that you never said, and no one will be able to prove otherwise. Now imagine that a video with your image is spread across the internet. A video where you appear to be saying or doing something criminal, something that never happened. Do you think you could just prove your innocence? No. From the moment your evidence becomes public, your reputation is already destroyed. The judicial system not prepared to deal with it. How to convince someone that that video is fake if you, even experts, have difficulty distinguishing what is real and what was generated by artificial intelligence. This means that anyone can be digitally manufactured. Your identity can be stolen, used and manipulated without you having the slightest control over it. If before global monitoring it just meant tracking your data, now it means creating a fake version of you, which can be used for any purpose. But if technology can manipulate your image, what stops it from manipulating the past? Imagine a future where the truth no longer exists, where any historical event can be digitally recreated, where any fact can be distorted with artificially generated images, audio and videos. If everything can be fabricated, how will we know what really happened? And the scariest thing, this technology is already in the hands of governments and corporations. Databases with billions of faces have already been collected from social networks, security cameras, and even public photos. Your face may already be in an artificial intelligence system without your authorization. Now think, if evidence can be created, if voices can be cloned, if records can be altered, what still protects us? The system that controls information also controls the truth. And if the truth can be manipulated, anyone can become guilty without ever committing a crime. This means that no one is safe, no evidence is reliable, no recording can be guaranteed to be authentic. The last frontier has been broken. Reality can no longer be distinguished from illusion. Worst of all, this is not happening in the future, it's happening now. And the only question left is, what comes after that? I know that you've come this far. It means you've already realized that something much bigger is happening, and most people have no idea. But information is the only weapon against total control. Subscribe to the channel now and turn on notifications, because in the next revelations you will understand how global monitoring is already shaping your life without you even realizing it. Don't be in the dark, the truth is here. Have you ever had the feeling that all of this has been predicted before? That this era of global monitoring, total control and artificial intelligence is not just a technological evolution, but rather the fulfillment of something much greater. What was once seen as a conspiracy theory or religious delusion is becoming an undeniable reality, and if we connect the dots, we realize there is a frightening pattern behind it all. The Bible already spoke about a system of absolute control at the end of time. In the book of Revelation, it is written that no one can buy or sell without a mark. For centuries, this prophecy has been interpreted in various ways, but now we are seeing this prediction become possible before our eyes. Physical money is disappearing, replaced by digital transactions, and it will not be long before all forms of payment are completely integrated with artificial intelligence systems. If you depend on a digital system to access your own money, then who really has control? And it doesn't stop there. There are already tests to replace cards, passwords, and documents with biometric implants, subcutaneous chips, facial readings, and even payments for brain pattern recognition are already being developed. And what happens if the system decides you are no longer allowed to access your own money? If your profile is classified as non-standard, your access may be blocked instantly, exactly as predicted in the apocalypse. But why is this happening now? How are these changes advancing so quickly without anyone noticing? It's because all of this was planned a long time ago. The World Economic Forum has already openly declared that in the future no one will have anything and be happy. But what does this really mean? That private property will be eliminated? That everything will be controlled by a single government? That people will depend 100% on a digital system that can be turned off at any time? What seemed unthinkable a few years ago is now being accepted without resistance. First, people were convinced that they needed to give up their privacy for security. Now, they are being led to believe that giving up financial control will be more convenient. And then, what will be the next step? Artificial intelligence is already replacing jobs, controlling information, and tracking the population. But what if it is also being used to implement a single and absolute government? What happens when the entire economy is integrated into a centralized system? Who will have the power to decide who can buy and who cannot? The Mark of the Beast prophecy spoke of a system where those who did not fall in line would be excluded from society, prevented from buying and selling. Now look at what is already happening. Countries testing centralized digital currencies, companies blocking bank accounts based on political opinions, artificial intelligence deciding who is trustworthy and who is not. If you haven't noticed by now, it's because it was made to look natural. Small changes happening gradually, leading people to accept without realizing where they are being led. But look around you. This has already begun. What if all this really is the fulfillment of the prophecies? If we are living the beginning of the end, the scariest? The next phase is already underway, but what comes next is even more disturbing. Are you ready to find out? Imagine a world where it is no longer people who make decisions about your life, but algorithms. A system that determines who is entitled to a job, who can buy a house, who receives medical treatment, and who is simply left to die. You may think that this is still a thing of the future, but what if I told you that it is already happening? Many decisions that were previously made by humans are now made by artificial intelligence. Companies already use algorithms to filter resumes and automatically reject candidates. You can be discarded without anyone ever reading your name. In some countries, AI systems already determine whether a patient should receive priority care in a hospital or not, and what happens if a code error decides you're not important enough to save. The excuse is always the same: automation and efficiency. But think about what that really means. A simple programming error can define your destiny. What happens when an artificial intelligence system, without any kind of empathy, determines who deserves to live and who can be discarded? This is already happening in China. Surveillance cameras with facial recognition and behavioral analysis classify citizens based on a scoring system. If your score is low, you may be prevented from taking a train, getting financing, or even accessing certain places. Now imagine a future where this same logic is applied to healthcare. If the system decides that you are a risk, that your medical history indicates a low life expectancy, will you still be entitled to treatment? Artificial intelligence is already making decisions that directly affect lives. There are police robots programmed to identify suspicious behavior, and there have been cases of people being wrongly arrested because an algorithm made a mistake. What happens when a system determines that someone is a criminal before they even commit a crime? The concept of guilty until proven guilty can turn into guilty because the system predicted you might be a problem. Now think about hospitals and health plans using AI to determine which patients deserve priority. Have you ever wondered what would happen if an algorithm determined that your life had less value than someone else's? What if a machine decides that your age, your condition, or your history isn't worth the cost of treatment? And if you think this can't happen, understand that there are already insurance companies using artificial intelligence to deny medical treatments. Healthcare companies already train systems to calculate the cost-benefit of keeping someone alive, and this raises the most disturbing question: who is really in control of your life? If a system can decide whether you deserve a job, funding, or medical care, what stops it from deciding who should continue to exist and who can be discarded? The scariest. This is not fiction. We are already living this reality. And if you haven't noticed yet, maybe it's because the system wants you to remain distracted. But what comes next is even more shocking. The next step of this agenda is already being implemented. Are you ready to find out? Protecting yourself is possible, but few people know how. The truth is that the system wants you to believe that there is no way out, that global surveillance is inevitable, and that your privacy has already been completely destroyed. But that's not true. There are ways to regain some of your control, reduce your exposure, and prevent your information from being used against you. But first, you need to understand one thing: the more you expose yourself, the more predictable you become. And the more predictable, the easier it is to manipulate you. The first step to getting out of this invisible radar is changing your relationship with the internet. Everything you do online leaves traces. Your browser collects data. Your social networks profile you. Your applications share information without you knowing. The solution? Stop giving away your data for free. Use secure browsers like Brave or Tor that don't track your activities. Avoid Google. Alternative search engines like DuckDuckGo offer more privacy. And most importantly, disable data collection whenever possible. But that's not enough. Your own device could be spying on you. Your laptop's camera may be activating remotely without you even realizing it. And if that sounds like paranoia, know that even Mark Zuckerberg covers his own notebook camera. Do you think he would do that for no reason? Cover your camera now. It's not an exaggeration. If there's a chance that you could be unknowingly being watched, why risk it? What about social media? Most people expose themselves voluntarily. What you post, the places you go, the opinions you share, everything is stored and analyzed. If a social scoring system is implemented tomorrow, your online history will be your biggest enemy. The solution? Talk less about your life. The less information you give, the less they can use against you. But there is something even worse. Something most people ignore. The devices you use every day could be listening to you all the time. Your phone may be activating its microphone without you realizing it. Have you ever noticed how ads start appearing after a simple conversation? It's no coincidence. Assume your privacy has already been compromised and take action now. Review your app permissions, block voice tracking, avoid using virtual assistants like Alexa and Google Assistant. If you think this is all exaggeration, stop and think. Why do these companies want to know so much about you? It is not to improve your experience, it's to transform you into the product. But even if you do all this, there is still a problem. The real threat goes far beyond your online. In privacy, what is being built now is not just a surveillance system, it is a total control system. And the scariest part, there are already clear signs that it is about to be activated. What comes next could be the greatest blow to freedom we have ever seen. And you need to know what's about to happen. Are you ready? Have you ever realized that you are inside a system that monitors your every step? That your information could be being used without you realizing it? Most people only discover this when it is too late. But now, you have a chance to understand how to protect yourself before full control kicks in. Download my ebook now and discover the strategies they don't want you to know. This information could be the only thing standing between you and absolute control of your life. Click now and protect yourself. What happens now is just the beginning. The pieces are already on the board, and the next move could completely change the way we live. Have you heard about digital passports? Based on artificial intelligence? Governments around the world are already discussing the implementation of a system where each citizen will have a unique digital identity linked directly to their history, behavior, and even their social score. This means that in the future, if you are not within the system, you may simply cease to exist for society. No access to banks, transport, healthcare, or any essential service. Forget physical money. Forget privacy. Every transaction, your every movement, will be tracked and stored. Do you really believe you will have control over your own life? Now imagine that your access to this system is conditioned on your behavior. A simple wrong comment on social media can reduce your score. Sharing information considered unfavorable to the system may result in you being labeled a potential threat. And the consequence? Total blocking. You would become an invisible citizen without permission to travel, without being able to buy or sell, without access to the basics. Does it seem absurd? So look at what is already happening. Large financial institutions have already started denying banking services based on political opinions. Technology companies already filter content and limit voices they consider problematic. If this is already a reality today, what prevents this decision from being made tomorrow by an algorithm programmed to punish anyone who doesn't follow the playbook? What was once a basic right can become a privilege. If you are not within the rules, you are out of the system. The concept of free will be replaced by total obedience. Your digital identity will be your only way of existing in the digital world. And if the system decides that you are not part of the new model of society, your life as you know it will simply end. And who will be in charge of this? If governments, banks, and big tech already have absolute control over data, the next step is to ensure that no one can operate outside this system. When this happens, you will no longer have a choice. The system has already been activated. Now it's just a matter of time. But there's something even scarier coming. Something that will redefine humanity in a way that few people are prepared to accept. And the worst, it's already happening. Are you ready to find out? If this video disappears, you already know why. The truth is uncomfortable. The system has already been activated, and now it remains to be seen who will see it before it is too late. If you've made it this far, it means that something inside you has already realized that the world is changing, and not for the better. Control is being implemented silently, and the only thing that can still prevent humanity's total submission is information. So I need your help now, like this video, to show that you still have a voice. This isn't just a click, it's a message to the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel right now and turn on notifications, because what comes next could be even more shocking. Now comment below, do you think we are heading towards total control? I want to know your opinion, and more than that, I want this discussion to reach more people before the truth is buried. And most importantly, share this video with as many people as possible. Your friends, your family, WhatsApp groups, social networks, because the day may come when it will be too late to warn anyone. Information is the last line of defense against what is to come. And what's coming is even scarier than anything you've heard so far. The system already controls your data, your decisions, your money. But what if I told you that the next step is to control your own body? They are already testing ways to reprogram the human brain, integrate minds with AI, and even replace consciousness with algorithms. The question is, will we be the last free humans, or the first pieces of a new era where identity itself will be erased? What are you going to do now? The system is already working, and the only way to escape is to see before the last door closes. In the next video, I will show you how they are rewriting humanity in real time, and by the time you know that, it might be too late to turn back.